Now that the President is seated, we can begin. Good evening, my name's Louise Trott and I'm the Secretary to the Mander Jones Awards. I'd also like to introduce you to Sarah Lethbridge, who is one of our two judges for the awards. And our second judge, Catherine Robinson, unfortunately is unable to be with us today. So we say hello to her virtually if she's out there. Firstly, I'd like to give our acknowledgement to country. The Australian Society of Archivists acknowledges the traditional owners of the lands from across Australia and the surrounding seas and recognises their continuing connection to land, water, culture and community, and we pay our respects to the elders past and present. We honour your local community traditions of caring for archives and culture through country, through songs and stories. And in particular, I pay my respects to the Ngunnawal people whose land we are standing on today. I'd like to tell you a little bit about Phyllis Mander Jones, after whom these awards are named. And there is an entry about her in the online Australian Dictionary of Biography. Phyllis Mander Jones, born in 1896, died in 1984, was a librarian and an archivist and helped to establish the archival profession in Australia. The Australian Society of Archivists made her an honorary member in 1976, and in 1996, when we inaugurated the Mander Jones Awards. Born in 1896 at Homebush, Sydney, Phyllis was educated at the Abbotsleigh Girls' School and at the University of Sydney, earning a BA, Bachelor of Arts in 1917. Following a brief stint of teaching at Abbotsleigh in Sydney, she tutored privately. In May 1925, she joined the staff of the Public Library of New South Wales as a library assistant, and by 1933, she was a fully qualified librarian. During World War II, her knowledge of languages proved useful to the Department of the Army, which employed her on its censorship staff. She also assisted in the bibliographic work carried out by the Mitchell Library under the direction of Ida Leeson for the Allied Geographical Section. In November 1946, Jones was appointed Mitchell Librarian. She had responsibility for a library which also functioned as the State Archives that experienced difficulties during the war years, the practices of which needed modernisation and the staff of which was generally not equipped to deal with the problems confronting them. During 1948, she investigated archival practices and conservation techniques and explored holdings of records relating to Australia in Britain, the United States of America and South America, and attended the inaugural conference on the International Council on Archives. In 1949, she prepared a report about archives in New South Wales for the Conference of Commonwealth and State Authorities. For many years, she was an examiner in bibliography and archives for registration examinations of the Library Association of Australia. She helped to establish its archive section, which in 1975 became the Australian Society of Archivists, yay, and was co-editor of the first issue of the Journal of Archives and Manuscripts in 1955. Also, yay. In 1956, Mander Jones went on to London to work on the records of the London Missionary Society and other papers. The next year, she resigned as Mitchell Librarian and became the State Public Library's liaison officer in London. In 1960, she took over the work of the Australian Joint Copying Project, a program initiated in 1945 for the copying of records of Australian and later Pacific interest in the United Kingdom. In 1965, she was appointed to direct the project, jointly administered by the Australian National University and the National Library of Australia. She returned to Australia and retired in Medindie, Adelaide. Phyllis Mander Jones, she hyphenated her surname in later life, was appointed MBE in 1971. She was made a Fellow of the Library Association of Australia in 1963. As I mentioned before, the Australian Society of Archivists made her an honorary member in 1976, and in 1996 we inaugurated the Mander Jones Awards. Never married, she died on the 19th of February 1984 at Prospect, Adelaide. I'd just like to say, I love reading this out every year because it reminds me, and it will remind all of us, just how much her work has touched the everyday working life of pretty much every single one of us. So we have much to be grateful for. Moving on to the awards. We have two judges, as I mentioned before, Sarah Lethbridge and Catherine Robinson. We normally have 3 judges. Unfortunately, nobody put their hand up to be a 3rd judge for this year. I would encourage you to join the group. It is a lot of work, and that's why we need 3 people to share the load. But it is, I'm sure you would agree, very interesting, very rewarding, and from the point of view of the governance of the ASA, it's very important. We really need to get the information out there about these archival publications. And so we really do ask a lot of our judges, and we would like a 3rd judge to put up their hand sometime. Talk to me, talk to Sarah, talk to Catherine Robinson, talk to the president, but somebody, please, you really have to put up your hand. And in saying that, I'd like to thank the judges so much for their extremely hard work in preparing for the announcements that we can make today. I'd like to thank the ASA office staff for their administrative support of the awards, and to the organisers of the conference for giving us this time slot for the event, and to the audiovisual team for making the technology work. Thank you to everyone who submitted nominations, and we've had another bumper year of plenty of nominations to make, and of high quality work to make the judges' work difficult. You can nominate your own work, or you can nominate the work of another person, even without their knowledge. So get nominating, get reading, get writing, participate, please. And finally, thank you to all of you for coming along to this evening's event to support the work of the Mander Jones Awards. There will be 11 awards in 8 categories awarded to a total of 18 people, some of whom are not with us physically here today, but they are present online. And I will announce the winners. I will read out the judges' comments, and then I will invite the winners who are in person to come around to this side of the stage and come up the stairs and come here to Sarah so that Sarah can hand over the award certificate, and the photographer in the front there will be able to take a picture of you standing just there with really good lighting. For those who are participating online, as long as James and technology people have got them all teed up in the waiting room to come onto the screen, I would encourage you to wave your certificate at the camera. Unfortunately, there will be no time for acceptance speeches as we have a tight schedule. The information about the winners will be published on the ASA website tomorrow. Let's start. Category 1A, the publication making the greatest contribution to the archives profession in Australia, written by or on behalf of a corporate body. No nominations, unfortunately. Category 1B is far more positive. We have some joint winners. A publication making the greatest contribution to the archives profession in Australia, written or edited by a person in their own right. And our first winner is Mike Jones. Mike's article is Artifacts, Archives and Documentation in the Relational Museum, a book published by Routledge. And these are the judges' comments. This exciting and informative book addresses discussions amongst GLAM professionals on removing divisions between institutions that hinder cooperation and the opening of the archives. The author examines this, and using relational thinking, he proposes ways that institutions can break down the internal divisions or silos that disrupt the management of collection items within a single institution, such as a museum with an archive. This work will be of practical assistance to many collecting institutions as they consider how to document collections and to open the archives to new forms of exploration, discovery, and reuse. Congratulations, Mike. Our joint winners for 1B are Kirsten Thorpe, Kimberly Kristen, Lauren Booker, and Monica Galassi. Unfortunately, Monica is sick with COVID and cannot join us, but we have two of you with us today. And their article is Designing Archival Information Systems Through Partnerships with Indigenous Communities, Developing the Makurtu Hubs and Spokes Model in Australia, published in the Australian Journal of Information Systems, Volume 25. And the judges' comments are, this is a thoughtful work, bringing together research and practice within the archival space. The authors move the discussion from colonial collecting paradigms to community-based archiving initiatives and on-country management of Indigenous knowledge. And the work calls for the digital return of archival material and the documentation needed to give the archives context and the involvement of Indigenous communities in the design of information management systems in ways that respect the material and make sense to Indigenous communities' understandings of how to manage knowledge. By giving practical guidance based on experience, this article fills an unmet need in the Australian archival profession. Congratulations. Category 2A, we also have joint winners. The best publication that uses, features or interprets Australian archives written by or on behalf of a corporate body. And the winner is Gavin Fry. I think that Karen Finch might be collecting this on behalf of Gavin. And his publication is Sydney Royal, celebrating 200 years of the Royal Agricultural Society of New South Wales, 1822 to 2022, produced and published by the Beagle Press for the Royal Agricultural Society of New South Wales. This weighty tome draws heavily on the archival and heritage collections of the Royal Agricultural Society of New South Wales, RAS, to tell the story of the RAS. Archives are incorporated throughout the work and are not just an illustration to the narrative. This excellent organisational history will enable a wider audience to see and have an appreciation of the depth of the archival and heritage collections of the RAS. And readers who have grown up attending the Royal Easter Show will enjoy seeing aspects of their childhoods portrayed in the book. I think that's the judges, talking from personal experience. Congratulations. And our other joint winners are Rachel Trappier and Georgina Ward. Now, I know Georgina's not here, but I think Rachel was also online today. So Michaela Hart will be receiving the award on their behalf. And their award is for Fierce Compassion and Reflexivity Transforming Practice at the University of Melbourne Archives, published in the Journal of Critical Library and Information Studies, Volume 3, Number 2, 2021, Radical Empathy in Archival Practice. The judges' comments. It can be challenging for custodians of important archival collections documenting trauma, such as child welfare records, to bring these collections to the attention of potential researchers without causing further trauma. In writing about how the University of Melbourne Archives has redesigned practices for enabling access to the care leavers' records it holds, the authors have also provided guidance for other institutions with potentially distressing collections to help the researchers and staff manage access sensitively. This is a highly relevant work that deserves a wide audience among archivists and other collection managers. Category 2B, we have a winner, best publication that uses, features or interprets Australian archives written or edited by a person in their own right. And the winner is Clive Smith for Port Macquarie's First Convicts, published by the Port Macquarie Historical Society. And there he is. Hello, Clive.
Hello, and thank you very much. It's an honour to win this award.
And these are, Clive is online from Port Macquarie. And the judges' comments are, in the absence of a formal or conclusive listing from the Colonial Administration of Port Macquarie, the author of this work has trawled through archives in New South Wales, and the United Kingdom to identify the first convicts who volunteered to go to Port Macquarie in 1821 so that they can take their place in Port Macquarie's recorded history. Future researchers of colonial New South Wales will benefit from this excellent work with its detailed listing of convicts and volunteers and useful explanation of the archival sources used and the research which has been undertaken. And it just occurs to me that local studies historians and archivists all across Australia could perhaps look at some of Clive's publications and take inspiration for their own areas. Well done, Clive.
Thank you.
Category 3 winner, Best Finding Aid to an Archival Collection held by an Australian institution or about Australia. And this is won by the University of Adelaide University Library for Adelaide Connect, Discover the University of Adelaide Special Collections, and this is one of those fabulous Recollect websites, which I'm just developing one of myself. Now, this award is going to be received, I think, maybe online by Lee Amoroso, the Adelaide University Archivist and Senior Management. No, it is going to be not received by her online. But nonetheless, the award certificate is going to be posted to, or has been, to Lee Amoroso, Adelaide University Archivist and Senior Management of Special Collections. So congratulations to the University of Adelaide. These are the judges' comments. This is an innovative portal leading researchers to the information they seek across multiple formats. Its search function is precise and accurate, and the metadata includes the original item or collection number to help find similar items. This provides an effective system that could be a model for other institutions wishing to provide a way into their collections. Category 4 is for the best publication produced by an organisation deemed eligible for Category B, schools, religious and non-profit, and unfortunately we have no award to give out today. Category 5, we have some more joint winners. This is for the best article or chapter about archives written by an Australian in archives, records management, library or museum journal, or within an anthology or monograph. And the first group of winners are Catherine Jarvie, Joanne Evans and Sue McKimmish for their article, Radical Appraisal in Support of Archival Autonomy for Animal Rights Activism, published in Archival Science 21/4. And we have Catherine Jarvie with us today to accept the award. Oh, and Joanne Evans. Ah. The judges' comments. A well-written article relevant to organisations for which traditional archiving practices are a poor fit because the membership is dispersed and may lack a hierarchy of decision makers to determine what to document and what to retain. The case study focuses on animal rights activists who may be in loose association with others and who rely upon technology such as the cloud to communicate and to manage their archives. And the methodology outlined in this article could be a model for other groups. Congratulations. Our second set of winners in this category are Kirsten Wright and Nicola Laurent. Now, I have to say, because Nicola is president and because the Mander Jones Awards judges report goes to the council for approval before we can do anything with it, Nicola was comprehensively and highly efficiently excluded from every single stage at which the councillors made their deliberations and their approvals. So she seriously had no idea. And the article is Safety, Collaboration and Empowerment, Trauma-Informed Archival Practice, published in Archivaria in Volume 9, 91, June 2021. And the judge's comments are: belated recognition of the rights of marginalised groups, including Indigenous Australians and care leavers, has made archives more aware of the potential for their holdings to cause further trauma to those depicted in them. This article addresses the need for guidance to archives wanting to help staff and researchers use and manage relevant collections safely and with respect. Congratulations. And category 6, we have a winner. Best article or chapter about archives written by an Australian in a journal or a newspaper or within an anthology or monograph, not primarily intended for archivists or records managers. And the winner is Mike Jones. For his article, The Temple of History, Historians and the Sacralisation of Archival Work, published in History Australia 18.4. The judge's comments: an excellent work aimed at a strategic audience. In this article, Jones aims to break down the overly deferential attitudes some researchers have towards archives that conceal archival theory and the work of the archivists. And he calls on historians to demystify and explain their research in the archives, to reveal the value of archival research and help to rebuild trust in history. I suspect that means far less of the, and I just went to the archives and look what I found. Thank you very much. Congratulations. Category 7 also has a winner for the best academic work on archives or record keeping produced by a student in any Australian university course. Now, the winner is Olivia Ensor, and she's in Western Australia at work, and she cannot attend today, unfortunately. But she has won for her assignment Privacy and Consent in the Construction of Social Media Archives, an assignment submitted for the Master of Information Management at Curtin University. And the judges say, a well-researched and well-written paper on some of the most fraught issues surrounding the archiving of social media, copyright and privacy. Ensor sets out the case of the ACT Heritage Library's COVID-19 Community Archive Flickr group within a well-constructed theoretical framework. This paper would be a solid foundation for a journal article. Where's the journal editor? That would start discussions among the many archives faced with the need to archive social media. Congratulations, Olivia. And category 8 also has a winner, the best publication to engage and communicate with clients or potential clients of an Australian archive or archival collection about Australia. And the winner is Karen Finch for the Royal Agricultural Society Virtual Museum. That's a website, and it's published by the Royal Agricultural Society of New South Wales. And the judges' comments are an impressive website featuring the archives and museum collections of the Royal Agricultural Society. The wide variety of digitised items includes photographs, catalogues and publications. They are presented in an impressive and original way that provides a model for other organisations who want to highlight their archives and their history in general. Congratulations. And it strikes me that the judges have said something over and over and over again. This winning publication serves as a model for others to do something similar. So be inspired by the Mander Jones Awards winners and maybe have a go yourselves. Now that is the end of the presentation of the Mander Jones Awards. And now I will hand over to Dr. Jessie Lim, the General Editor of the ASA's journal, Archives and Manuscripts, to announce the winner. To announce the winner of the Dr. Sigrid McCausland Emerging Writers Award for 2022. And the award certificate will be presented or accepted on behalf of the winner by Professor Marianne Deaver, a member of the Archives and Manuscripts Editorial Board. I will close the ceremony after Jessie has presented the award.
Thank you, Louise, and thank you for your wonderful stories as you went through those award presentations. They were lovely. I am here as the General Editor of Archives and Manuscripts to introduce one of our editorial board members, Professor Marianne Deaver, to present an award. It's a very finely timed event because the recipient is in a taxi on their way here. So I don't know if I can talk long enough for her to walk in the door, but we'll see. I might. But I just want to acknowledge that this award is for an emerging writer who was published in Archives and Manuscripts in 2021. And I wasn't the editor there, and so I thank the former General Editor, Vivian Fring-Sasami, Dr. Vivian Fring-Sasami, for the amazing work she did on the journal over the 3 years she was editor. And I also pay tribute to my dear friend and colleague, Sigrid McCausland, who this is named after, and miss her greatly and her influence. So, Marianne, can I hand over to you? We will maybe watch the door. Maybe you can... I think maybe we should just announce it and she should be there.
Thank you, Jessie. It's always a great pleasure to be associated with the Sigrid McCausland Prize for Emerging Writers. We always have such wonderful submissions to review and to look at, and it always gives us, I think, such a sense of excitement about the new voices in the profession. The award this year goes to Rose Barrowcliff. Who I think also deserves the award for dramatic and potentially comic timing. Rose receives this award for an article published in Archives and Manuscripts, volume 49-3 of 2021, entitled Closing the Narrative Gap, Social Media as a Tool to Reconcile Institutional Archival Narratives with Indigenous Counter-Narratives. Before we pass this over, I'll just share with you the judge's comments. This is a thought-provoking exploration of institutional inertia in the Australian government archive sector, but more broadly across all major GLAM organisations when it comes to engaging with counter-narratives. Taking social media as its focus, the article examines how collecting memory institutions failed to engage with the Black Lives Matter movement in Australia, despite their public affirmations of National Reconciliation Week. The author concludes on the basis of her case study that a significant narrative gap still remains between stories about Indigenous peoples and stories by Indigenous peoples. The article ultimately makes the case that while archives have been used as a tool of colonisation, they can also support Indigenous counter-narratives as a tool to dismantle colonial certitude in historical narratives in settler colonial nations. This is a powerful article that will generate great discussion about collecting Indigenous people's stories and records in Australia. Congratulations, Rose.
Now, that was exciting. Thank you very much to Jessie, to Marianne, and congratulations especially to Rose for managing not only to write a wonderful article, but also to turn up on time. We've now reached the end of the Mander Jones Awards ceremony. And so all I have to say now is thank you very much for coming. Get writing, get nominating, and let's go and enjoy the party.